Hello, 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 and welcome to Authors, Writers, and Wannabees podcast. I'm your host, Noelle, and we have a special guest tonight, Kevin, and Kevin is from Cali. So, welcome back to the show, everyone. Today, we're diving into a topic that every entrepreneur, author, and creator needs to understand, which is marketing one-on-one. Whether you're just starting out or simply looking to strengthen your brand, today's conversation will give you simple, practical tools you can apply right away. So, Mr. Kevin, how are you doing?
I am good. Thank you.
Good, good, good. And tell the audience about Kevin.
Well, I'm actually an author myself. I've self-published a book on self-development. I've contributed to a couple of anthologies as far as that goes, nonfiction mostly. Um,
Okay.
Retired from the military. I spent 20 years in the Air Force, 14 as a recruiter. So if you know anything about recruiting, you understand that's marketing 101. That's all recruiting is marketing to a specific audience and trying to convince them to buy your product.
Right. Can you still see me? No.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So I'm not an expert in marketing whatsoever. I'm going to learn from Kevin tonight as well. And I know all of you will learn from Kevin as well too. So I found Kevin in one of the Facebook groups. I think I did I reach out and say, hey, I need some people as a guest on my podcast, and he reached out to me. So and then I
That is
contacted
correct.
him back, and he was like, and then he said he was an expert in marketing, right?
Oh no, I will never call myself expert. That is not something I do. No, no,
You
no.
did you did major in marketing, right?
Yes, I am
So you
very educated and experienced in marketing, but expert,
okay,
I will never call myself that.
so probably more educated and more aware of marketing than anybody in the group. Because it's a lot of questions. Don't you see? Like if you go into the groups on Facebook or because authors want to be with other authors and just get advice and stuff from each other. So I'm in a lot of Facebook groups on yeah, author
Sure.
Facebook groups. So there's a lot of posts about marketing. How can I market my book? How can I market myself? And you know how everybody's getting scammed, right? So let's dive into that first, Kevin.
Sure.
Talking about the marketing scams.
Well, I mean, they unfortunately there are part of being an author and being part of author groups on Facebook. You see them all the time. You know, the person that and unfortunately, us as authors, we open ourselves up to those scammers, alleged scammers. I always call them alleged because until they scam me, they are alleged. But what I see a lot of authors opening themselves up to these people with the words, "How do I market my book?" You know,
Right,
and that's inviting them to contact you. And what you end
right.
up with is the person that says, "Oh, I can help you market my book." Well, in my experience and from what I've seen, the overwhelming majority of these people have no clue of what they're talking about when it comes to marketing because they don't have marketing skills. What they are to me, I call them telemarketers because what they do is they collect people's money to do things that a person, an author, can easily do themselves. In sense, they basically send emails out to random email addresses and hope that somebody's interested in what they're sending. That's not
Okay,
marketing.
okay. So when you say they can do themselves, like give me an example.
Well, an author can send out an email to a random email address with no problem. You know
Right.
that's not marketing. That's basically sending out an email and hoping somebody is interested in what you're saying. For example, a lot of people think that a lot of these marketers, so-called marketers, what they do is they say, "I will market your book to X number of people." I've had some people say as much as a million different readers, which sounds wonderful to a person on the surface. The
Right.
problem is, um, for example, if my book is on basketball, it's not, but let's say it's on basketball,
Okay.
and and a marketer tells me that they're going to send information to my book to a million people. That sounds wonderful. But if those million people are interested in gardening and not basketball, they are not going to, that your book's not going to appeal to them. So what you've done is you paid a marketer for a marketing campaign that was doomed from the beginning, because that person is not interested in a book on basketball. So you've
Right.
wasted your money as a marketer, but they've gotten your money and they've disappeared. Because what usually happens is they disappear, resurface under a new profile, and you don't know who they are.
Okay. Have you gotten some of those emails from those marketers saying, "Hey, I read your book, and your book is interesting, and it's coming from a Gmail account." And
I get them
let
all
me,
the time.
yeah. So do you have one of your books in front of you?
Uh, Give me 2 seconds, I can get it.
Okay. All right. So while he's getting his book, we're first going to talk about what does marketing one-on-one really mean. Okay. So marketing one-on-one is simply understanding how to connect the right message to the right audience at the right time. And it's communication with intention. So it's not hard, right? It means knowing what you offer, who it helps, and how to express that value clearly. So we're going to go into audience clarity. So knowing who you are serving. So knowing who your audience is. I think that's the most important step, don't you? When anything
Absolutely.
should happen.
You have to know who you're writing your book, or who you want your book to appeal to. Who's the ideal reader? You know,
Right.
who am I speaking to with this book? You know,
And
and
this is not just for authors, right? It's for anybody, any
it's for
entrepreneur or
anybody.
anybody. Yeah,
Absolutely. You have to know who you're presenting the product or service to.
right. So I have a so I'm gonna give you an example of that. So I have a self-help, like self-discovery healing journal, prompt journal that I created and published about I think about 4 months ago, maybe. So me and hubby and I, excuse me, I'm an author. Hubby and I, we separated. So it's more of a healing journal because as I wrote it, I was answering my own questions. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And mental health. So back in March, I was admitted to a mental health hospital involuntarily because I had a mental breakdown. Right. First time in my life having a mental breakdown. I'm bipolar and I took myself off medication. Okay. So what I did was I decided the other day, this is what I decided. I was like, why don't I market to mental health institutions for this prompt journal? Duh. So what I did was buy about 10 more, 10 more of my prompt journals so I can, and I wrote a letter to each mental health institution that I Googled, that I use AI for. And I wrote a little letter, put it in, and mailed those off today to see if they will carry my prompt journal in their facilities for their admissions. So
And
I
that's
was
what
like,
you
this is a
should
good
do.
marketing tool, right?
And that's exactly what you should do. You have to present the information to people that will be interested in it. Now, there are those that that may not be interested until they see it in front of them.
Right.
You know, but
And that's
you
why I
want
mailed it out. That's why I
to.
mailed it out.
Exactly. So I
Yeah.
mean, you're on the right track, you know. And
Yeah.
what I always tell people with authors is you have to keep in mind that there are certain aspects of the sales cycle that you control and things you don't control. And a lot of these marketers, so-called marketers that we find on social media groups, they don't understand that. What I tell them is the only thing that an author can control is the quality of their book and the message used to introduce it to a potential reader. Those are the only
Okay.
thing that you control. What a lot of people want to control, and a lot of these marketers try to get authors to buy into this, is that they can control whether somebody decides to spend their money on it or not. And you have absolutely no control over that. And that's where it gets kind of murky for authors, because if I'm spending money on marketing, I'm expecting sales from that. Well, yes and no. You can expect sales, but that's really not something under your control.
Correct. Correct. So it's your service or product that's what's gonna make it or break it, right?
Exactly.
Right. So speaking of that, I do do accept authors to send in their books to me, and I do a 1 minute advertisement on their book. So, just FYI, if anybody wants to send their book to me, and I do a little clip ad for you. The information is on my website, noeltheauthor.com, and that's Noel, theauthor.com. So we are um, streamed with BS3 Network through StreamYard, and we are on Spotify, Apple, Roku. Is it Roku or Roku? Roku.
Roku.
Roku, yeah, Roku, and Facebook Live, and sometime. And right now, I just went to my TikTok Live. I'm really not big on TikTok. I cannot get my following up. I don't know what it is. Are you on TikTok, Kevin?
I am not. I leave that to the youngsters.
Yeah, yeah. So, are you on Instagram?
I am on Instagram. Yes, Instagram
Okay.
and
So
also Blue
what
Sky.
social media platforms are you on? Because social media is huge in marketing.
Absolutely. I have a Facebook page. My
Okay.
author Kevin E. Eastman is my Facebook page.
Okay.
I'm also on Instagram, EastKE1 on
Okay.
Instagram, and also EastKE1 on Blue Sky as well. And I
Blue
have
Sky. What's Blue Sky?
Blue Sky is the Twitter alternative.
Oh, I've never heard of that. Do authors promote on Blue Sky?
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's
Oh,
just
hold on. Let me write this down.
it's it's a fairly new platform, but it's when that big Twitter fiasco went up, and that type of thing. A lot of people migrated from Twitter to Blue Sky.
Okay, I never really did Twitter either. So we're going to go into messaging in a minute. So that's expressing your value in a way that connects. But
Hmm.
before we go into that, the social, you know what? We're going to go back to social media because that comes up. Okay. So the next message is the next core pillar of the solid marketing strategy is messaging. So expressing your value in a way that connects. So what does that mean, Kevin, to people
Well,
that don't know?
that means for people who you are expressing your product or service to. In this case, we're going to say book. Uh, your book has to appeal to the person that you are that is reading what you are sending them. Your
Mhm.
message, your post, whatever the case may be. Giving them a reason why they would want your book.
Okay. That's a good one. Okay. So visibility, showing up consistently where your audience already is. Visibility. Ooh. So what do you think about like pop-up shops and an author getting a vendor table and setting up? You think those are lucrative?
I like them. I mean, I prefer personal sales. To me, that's more of a
Yeah.
that's more of an interactive role for me. And actually, when you're at book events and things like that, when the person can actually see your passion for what you're doing, you can make a bigger impact with them instead of them reading a social media post that you could be sitting
Right.
there with a straight face with LOL.
Right.
No, you're
Right.
really not laughing, but you're typing.
Right. Right. So that's my direct sales are more lucrative than anything. Like Amazon, I don't really get a lot of sales on Amazon, but I do order author copies, and I talk to people. Like I'm not afraid to talk to people. I tell them about if whoever I encounter, I'm talking about my memoir.
And you can't be. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I see a lot of authors who fall into that trap. I want to write, but I don't want to talk. Well, nobody's going to talk about your book with the passion that you have. You
Right.
can hire
Right.
the best marketer in the world, but if you're going to eventually run into a question that a reader may have that a marketer can't answer. Only you can answer that. So,
Right.
you have to be able to talk about your book,
Right.
because like an author friend of mine said to me, nobody's going to write your book the way you write it.
True.
So it's
If
it's
they
up
if
to
they actually wrote it or they had AI write it.
exactly. So you have to be able to speak about your book because you're the only person that has that passion about your book, in
Right.
order to tell it to another person. A marketer can only go so far.
Yeah. So I was at a lounge maybe 3, 4 weeks ago, And I'm always inviting people to come over to sit at our booth, right? So I have a couple of friends that we go out like once or twice a month and just hang out and catch up, right? So we're at this lounge slash bar, and this guy walks in. And remember, I'm with a guy, which is a good friend of mine, and then I'm with a girlfriend, which is a good girlfriend of mine. So this guy walks in. I said, "Why don't you just come over and sit down, right?" So I started talking about my book, right, my memoir. He buys one, right? And I didn't, and two other girls came in. I said, "Oh, won't y'all come over here and sit down too?" So I told them about my book, and they wanted to buy one, and I didn't have any more on me, which I always have at least 5 copies on me, and I had sold out. So I only had that one for him to buy. And that, I mean, that's just like direct sales, right? So I said, go on my website, or you can go on Amazon, and get the book. The two other girls that came over, and they was very intrigued with my story. So can't nobody tell my story the way I can tell it, you know?
Correct. And
Yeah,
and the other part of that is you have to be flexible because you never know. That guy who came up and talked to you may only had 30 seconds, and you had 30 seconds to convince him to get your book. Where or he may have sat down and you had 20 minutes to talk about your book. So you'd never know, and that's why I always tell authors, be flexible in what you're doing. Have an elevator pitch, have a 30-second pitch, and then you can have your full presentation because you never know what you're going to
right.
get when you're talking to a person. I know when I was a recruiter for the Air Force, I actually had negotiated a 30-minute presentation to a doctor residency. And when I
Uh-huh.
got there, they said, "You don't have 30 minutes now, you have 5." So I
Wow.
had to adjust everything and get my business card out and say, "Okay, well, here's the highlights of what I was going to tell you guys. And if you have any questions, call me." That was as quick as it
Right.
was, and I had negotiated 30 minutes. I had 30 minutes in my head. And when I got there, you don't have 30, you have 5.
Oh, wow. That was a big shock, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Speaking of those elevator pitches, that same night that I'm speaking of, another guy pulled out his phone and was like, "Okay, give me your elevator pitch," and he recorded me on his phone. So, which was crazy because I've had that approach like two other times within the last like 3 months, and I'm like, "Okay, I need to get my elevator pitch down." So he said, "Give me 30 seconds." It was a minute. I was like, "Damn." I
And
was like, "I need to work on it. What do I
you'd be
need to omit?"
surprised at how fast a minute goes.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's long when you're talking.
Right, right. But I could have went kept on going. He was like, "Nope, your 30 seconds is over. Your 30 seconds is over." I'm still going, right? I was like, "Okay, I need to adjust that. I need to adjust that to 30 seconds." So on my memoir, that is. Okay, so we talked about audience clarity, messaging, and visibility with marketing. Conversion. Ew. Turning interest into actions or money, right?
Well, I mean, that's the ultimate goal. You want to make sure that you are directing your whoever you're talking to. You're directing them to do something with what you gave them, and that's part of the message, the power of the message that you have in order to address your book. Tell the person why it would be to their benefit to have it, and then you give them a direction to go. One of the things I see a lot of authors do is, "Hey, I wrote a book, go buy it, please."
Yeah.
Okay, you're expecting the reader to search for your book, and that is a big mistake in my opinion, because you're expecting the person to go and do a search. Well, if they don't, then you'd miss a potential sale. But if you
Right.
put what I call the a call to action in there, and you tell them, "Hey, I wrote a book. Here's what it's about. Here's how it can benefit you, and go to my website for more information." Now you're giving the potential reader a way to just click on a link and bam, there's your book right there. Instead of, "Hey, I wrote a book, here's the title."
And you know what gets me too is like I'm in like 10 to 12 Facebook groups for authors, right? And I'll spend 2 hours a
That's
night.
all.
I'm not lying. At least 2 hours a night going through this, okay? I'm not lying. At least 2 hours. It's probably four sometimes, okay? Because it's kind of like, I mean, you have to, that's, I mean, I'm trying to see what people are, talking about. I'm trying to engage. I'm trying to do all of this stuff, and especially with a podcast. Not just a book, just with a podcast. I'm trying to,
Sure.
to see what topics I need to talk about, or hey, maybe they'll be a good guest. Um, so yeah, I spend like 2 to 4 hours online, just going through Facebook groups and seeing what they're talking about.
And how many times have you seen somebody just post their picture of the cover of their book and a purchase link and
Or
anything?
or they'll describe their book in 2 pages. Like, who wants to read through that?
Exactly.
I am not, that's not a 30-second pitch. Give me a 30-second pitch online. Don't give me 2 pages to read through because I'm not doing it. I ain't, no, my head is hurting by the time I read the third paragraph.
Hmm.
All right. It's like, come on now, let's get our pitches down. Okay,
But
so people who are
that goes
listening,
back to that goes back to that flexibility thing.
right?
Everybody's not going to read a whole page, on your book.
Yeah,
Some people want that, but at the same time, a lot of society has gotten into the 140 characters or less, and sometimes you can't get things done. Even in my book,
yeah.
I always say there some of life's most valuable lessons can't be summed up in a tweet.
Oh,
you have
oh,
you have to go through that lengthy explanation for the message to get through.
yeah. No, I like your lengthy explanations when I read yours. It's like, okay, it's engaging. I can get this. You know what I'm saying? But as far as hey, what a book is about, I would want that 30-second pitch
Sure.
to be written. To be written down.
Exactly. Tell
Yeah,
them why. Tell them what your book is.
yeah.
I always tell the authors that you have to have certain elements in a post in your book for your book on social media. You have to tell them what your book is, tell them why it's important to them, and tell them what to do once they read why you tell them that it's important. You want to give them those three things. You don't want to depend on a reader to remember. Oh, I think I remember what the name of that book was, and I can go do a Google search for it. No, you give them the link, bam, and then they click the link and they have your book.
Yeah, yeah.
Make it easy for the potential reader to find your book. Don't expect them to search for it.
So, Kevin, how many books do you have?
I have one that I published by myself and three anthologies that I've contributed to.
Okay, and you just went and picked up a book, right? You just went
I
into the
did.
other room and grabbed one. So, what is it? Let's
I
see it.
This is my book is called "Don't Gamble on Life Improvement
Put
Until
it
You
in
Shift the
front.
Odds."
Okay. Don't get. And what is it about?
This is about basically changing your mindset. The way you think. The way I describe it is life wasn't going the way that I wanted it to go, and I had to figure out why. Well, after writing a bunch of essays, it turned out to be, I'm not the only one that can benefit from this. Let me publish it. So it's
Okay.
actually what I do is I take the reader through a series of topics that I think contribute most to the chaos that we have in life, and
Okay.
give methods to try to overcome those obstacles.
How long did it take
And
you to write the book?
technically, about 2 years. And the reason I say that is because I was going back and forth, and I wanted to make sure it said exactly what I wanted it to say.
Mm-hmm.
And even after I printed it and published it, I went back, and because I was the feedback based on the feedback that I got from readers, I was like, okay, these ideas aren't very clear, so let me clear them up some more. So I have actually a second edition. The first edition is good, but the second edition
Okay.
is better.
Okay. Cool. Hey, why did you say, "Oh, it took me 2 years," and you like kind of paused? It took me 5 years to write my memoir.
Oh wow! So I don't feel that bad,
Don't feel bad, huh?
but 2 years, it took about 2 years, and the reason was because I kept revising it and revising it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
what I wanted to say, and believe it or not, a lot of people don't know what an author goes through to publish their book.
Mm-hmm.
This book was it was designed very meticulously and very intentionally how it's built. It's
Yeah.
actually built to be um, building blocks from one chapter to the next.
Okay. Cool. All
So the
right.
one thing I do tell people when they read my book is, even in the first chapter, I tell them the best way to get the most out of this book is to read it from front to back first, because there are chapters in there that people will go, oh, let me see what he has to say about that. Well, if you go to a certain chapter, there are things that are referenced in the chapters you didn't read. So it's easier
Mm-hmm.
to, while it may make some sense, but
Mm-hmm.
if you read the chapters leading up to that, it'll make total sense.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Well, so if you are just now joining us, we are talking about marketing one on one. This is Authors, Writers, and Wannabes podcast. I'm live on Facebook, and then I'm on TikTok. I just joined TikTok about 10 minutes ago. And we have Kevin on with me. And so now we're going to talk about what the difference is between marketing, branding, and advertising. Okay, so we're going to dive in with branding. Branding is who you are, right?
Absolutely. You are a brand in yourself.
You
As
are
a
your
as a
brand.
as an author, you are who you are. So you can't do anything. Uh, that's who people are going to know you to be.
Yep, yep, yep. Marketing is how you build relationships with people. You agree with that?
I do. That actually marketing is, the way you relate to people. You relay your message to potential market, potential readers, potential customers, if you will, if you're looking at something other than a book. The marketing are the efforts that you use. How do you use it? Do you use video? Do you use social media? Do you use um, direct sales? There are a lot of things that you can do. Book clubs. There are a lot of different methods within that marketing arena that you can use to build relationships with people.
All right, so the next one is advertising. Advertising is paying for attention.
Pretty much. I mean that you nailed that one. I don't nothing else you can say about that. Your advertising is you're paying for attention, and a lot of
Yeah, so
people think that
y'all go ahead and send in that form and go to my website so you can advertise and get some attention.
but a lot of people think that advertising has to cost money. It does not always have to cost money.
Right? Right. So give me some examples of that.
What am
Like
I
this.
doing right? What am
I
I doing
invited you
right
on
now?
as a guest.
Exactly. I'm
And it
talking
didn't cost
on
you nothing. And you
didn't
know what?
cost a thing.
Before you go into anything else, I had actually had a couple of people contact me talking about you must be doing a scam because how much is it going to cost me to be a guest on your show? I said, you know what? I don't want you as a guest. Don't worry about it. So it's absolutely free, people. I'm not charging people to be a guest on my show. You're doing me a favor, and I thank you. Okay.
And those are
So
those are things that people, I always talk to authors about, when they first talk about how do I market my book. The first thing I tell them is start looking at free methods of advertising. Make sure that you are looking at free methods of marketing before you look at any paid services, because a lot of these so-called marketers are charging people money to do things that you can do for
that
yourself.
you can do for yourself.
You would like being on a guest on a podcast, a guest on a guest blogger, those type of things. Newspaper and magazine articles, they can write things on there because they want people to know about. They have to have things to write about. So those are things that you can look at. Book clubs. A lot of people have been getting allegedly scammed by book clubs when they call.
Oh, really?
A few. Oh yeah, I just had not too long ago. I had somebody contact me from Oprah's book club.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
And
Right.
they were saying, okay, well then I did the research, and I know that Oprah has 3 people on her staff for her book club, with she being one of them. So
Yeah.
there's 2 other people that are listed, and the person that contacted me wasn't one of those 2 people.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
then once I confronted them with that, they said, "Oh, well, I'm not really with Oprah's book club."
What?
No, 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 no. What they told me was I didn't say I was from Oprah's book club, and I sent them a copy of their email that showed me that they said they were from Oprah's book club. So now
Oh,
you're
wow.
lying to me.
Oh, wow. So, So I want to read this email that I got from somebody that a scammer. I can
Always
feel them.
alleged, always
Yeah,
alleged
alleged
scammer.
scammer. Sorry. I could feel the moment you first learned the truth about your father, the weight of shock and disbelief pressing down as the past collided with your present, reshaping everything you thought you knew about yourself. That instant, raw, and unforgettable sets the heartbeat for The Daughter of the Innocent Man, a memoir that moves with tension, revelation, and the courage it takes to claim identity in the shadow of injustice. Your story immediately struck me because it is not just a personal journey, it is a testament to resilience, the echoes of family legacy, and the quiet strength required to navigate a life altered by truths discovered too late to be simple. Anyway, he goes on and on and on, him or her. And then it's saying the stories like your book thrives in book clubs. I can get you in justice, reform groups, and I can, doing all of this, and oh yeah, what else did he say? Get you into different author platforms, right? And I received probably um, the same email from different people, but it's like has a few things changed, and I think they just use an AI, right? They put the title of my book in there, and it's coming up. Okay, this is what the description is coming up with, and they just sending that out. What do you think?
I am one. I won't say 100% because it's never 100% sure, but I am about 99.9% sure they ran that through Chat GPT
Uh huh.
and sent it out to you.
Oh yeah. Oh
Is
yeah.
what I you have to be you have to think like a criminal in order to outsmart a criminal, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And what I've learned when they send me things like that, because I've actually, true story, I had one um, contact me and say they really enjoyed reading my book. Um, and I asked them a question. I said, "Well, what character resonated with you most?" And they answered the main character. And that sounds great, but my book has no character. So you just exposed yourself as a fraud without me having to do anything.
Yeah. Now
You know, so
I entertained them for a minute.
oh
I
yeah,
don't know why I
I
did.
love it. I love it. It's hilarious to me watching them operate, and that's how you learn about how they move.
Yeah. I said, well, can you give me your website so I can look you up? You
And
know,
they don't have one. They
they don't
give
have
you
one. They
they
didn't
give
have
you
a website.
Fiverr or Upwork.
Oh no, I haven't got the Fiverr or Upwork. I just said one person responded, I don't have a website. And I was like, well, I don't want to do business with someone who doesn't have a website. You know what I'm saying? If I was man, if I was a scammer, I would at least create a website and some, you know what I'm saying? Come on, be smarter about it.
Yes, but you have to keep in mind these people have a one track mind. Their goal is to get your money,
Yeah,
and that is their number one goal. So they want to get
yeah,
your money as quickly as they can. That way they can disappear.
yeah.
I have seen so many authors that I mean, so many marketers that have contacted me saying they're this expert art marketing strategist and all of this stuff, and they don't have a website. They don't have any contact information.
Hmm.
They are men using women's names and
Hmm. And
profile
profile
pictures.
pictures.
So there are a lot of different things that you can look for, and it'll clue you in
Yeah,
on that they're not who they say they are. And
yeah,
that's one of their MOs. The one thing they want you to do is they don't want you to think. So they
yeah.
want you to move very quickly. So they always are very pushy in their approach. They can you get this done? They'll
Right.
ask for direct payments. Pay me through PayPal. Wait a minute, hold on a second. You didn't even give me an invoice. So there are little things here and there that I've learned over the time that I've studied these people, that most of them don't know what they're doing as far as marketing and or business.
Yeah. Now, when I first released my memoir, um, I've been contacted by a lot of people on IG. When I first released my memoir, someone reached out to me from India, and it's a lot of people from India that it seems like reaching out to me. I don't know why,
Well,
but
there are certain regions where these people usually are concentrated from. That's not saying that everybody there is bad, because it's
right,
not. But unfortunately, the ones that are bad are posting a lot more frequently than the ones that aren't bad. So
Mm.
you by guilt by association, so to speak.
Right.
India is
Right.
one of those regions. Nigeria is another one of those regions.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to be careful with that. I'm very keen about what I'm looking at on the screen when these
Yeah.
people contact me. And then you clue into the language that they use. If you start questioning them, they get irritated, they get agitated really quickly. Why are you asking me these questions? Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If you want my business, you will answer my questions. If my
Right.
questions are annoying you, I may not want to do business with you.
Right.
And that's what I try to
We are not a good fit for each other.
right. And that's what I try to get through to authors. It's like, yes, these people are, it sounds good. They're going to help you. But if you think that a person is going to send your message to your book information to a million people for $5, yeah, come on now.
Right. Right.
You get what you pay for.
Right. Now I did speaking of the person that I'm talking about that contacted me from IG, one of the many. She was like, "Hey, I'll promote and review your book on my page." And I went to go look at her page, of course, did research. Um she had a nice following, but you can pay for followers too on IG.
Hmm.
Come on now. Come on. So don't think that it's the engagement, not the followers. Because people paying for followers and they don't have the engagement, they don't have the likes, they don't have comments, you know.
But
So be
that
careful
that
with
is
that
what
too, y'all.
that is what these people are seeing. They're seeing people.
Right.
They rely on the author's eagerness to get their book seen. And
Yeah.
they prey on that. If
Yeah.
I can get my book
I
seen
did
by a
pay for
million
it
people.
though. I,
Well,
I did
I
I did pay for one when I
I'm
first
not I'm
published
not
my book.
saying I'm not saying nobody
And she
should
did end
ever.
up promoting the book.
And that's great, and that worked out for you. But
I'm glad she didn't take my money.
there are so many other uh there are so many other marketers that just get their money and they end up putting something together that's very subpar.
Right.
And I always try to stress to authors, there are three components for effective marketing. One is consistency, the second one is variety, and the third one is realistic expectations. Your book has to be
Okay, say
marketed
that
consistent.
again because I'm writing it down. I want all of y'all to write it down too.
Okay.
Realistic
Okay.
expectation.
So the three components for effective marketing to me are consistency, variety,
Okay.
and realistic expectations.
Okay. And delve
And the, and and the
into those.
realistic expectations is the one that usually gets a lot of authors because the these marketers that we talk to, they are for the most part a one and done. I'm going to promote your book one time, and
Yeah.
you pay me for that. Okay, well, if like I said earlier, if they're promoting your book on basketball to people that are interested in gardening, you just paid them for nothing.
Yeah.
So you have to keep that in mind. But when you're marketing your book, you have to do it consistently. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. A lot of people think that marketing has to cost a lot of money, and it can cost a lot of money. But if you're promoting it consistently and you're promoting it in various places, you are covering a lot more ground than you think you're covering. And the
Yeah.
one thing is the realistic expectations. A lot of people are not aware that in the marketing industry, the return on investment ratio is about 5 to 1. So what that means is for every $1 you spend on marketing, you should expect to sell 5 books. And we're using books; it's units, but 5 books. So if you take that consideration, the average is about 2 to 3 to 1, and 5 being the standard, and 10 to 1 is actually pretty good. It's exceptional. I actually
Okay.
had a marketer tell me that they can produce a 42 to 1 ratio, and I knew they were full of it
Huh.
because this person didn't have a website. They didn't have anything that shows that they were a legitimate marketer. And somebody that can produce 42 books for $1 being spent on marketing would not have to advertise themselves. The
Mm.
word of mouth advertising would go crazy with the person
Yeah.
that can give you that type of return.
Yeah. Huh. So if you are on my Facebook, um, you can actually ask us questions and we can reply to those. Um, yeah. So if you're on my Facebook Live and you want to ask a question, go ahead. Um, forgot how to. So when I had a podcast before, and I'm going through StreamYard, y'all. When I had a podcast before, I had an assistant. All I had to do was talk, and she was behind the scenes doing all of this. So I'm still learning this. Okay, StreamYard. So yeah, bear with me on this. I'm gonna start having some banners at the top and the bottom. And I thought I had one last week, but I totally forgot to put it on this week. And I don't remember how to do it. You know, I'm getting older and my mind is going. So all right, Kevin, let's move forward. So he said the three components he thinks is marketing, goes good with marketing, is consistency, variety, and realistic expectations. So consistency with I think I was talking to someone a couple of weeks ago. Talking about marketing on social media and not having my TikTok build up. I have a good following on Facebook because I have two different Facebook pages, right? My business page and then my personal page, and then I have an IG. IG is okay, but I get good engagement with all three, right? And then I'm on BS3 Network, so the BS3 Network has a good following too. So I'm live on their end and going to their YouTube and all of that stuff too. But I was speaking with someone a couple of weeks ago about social media, marketing on social media. And I'm like, okay, I can't get my TikTok up. I don't know if I want to figure that one out. It's like too much going on when I'm spending 4 hours on Facebook because that's where I'm getting the most, engagement from. So they were like, okay, if you want to market your books or market your podcast or whatever, any type of, entrepreneur, right? Pick one social media channel and focus on that for 90 days. I was like, that makes sense, right? And build another one. Try to build up your following on another one. What you think of that?
I like it. I mean, that falls back into branding. You know who you
Yeah,
are. You know, if
yeah,
people know you on one platform, you get that built up. Hey, I'm also going to be on here. I'm going to be starting over here, and you get people over there. They have contacts over there. What you're doing is basically trying to lay the seed. A lot of authors, they look at, oh, I'm on a post that's going to compete. That's going to convert to sales. Well, not right now. It's laying the seed. That's what marketing does.
yeah.
If you know anything about marketing or advertising, you know that a person has to be exposed to a thing about 4 to 5 times before they actually take
Right,
action on that thing.
right, right.
So a lot of people are looking for that instant gratification. Hey, I sent a post out and then somebody sent it back. Hey, I think your book is great. Let me buy it. Yeah, those type of things. I think you touched on something earlier where a person actually told you that they can review your book. Well, why are you asking to review my book? You just buy it, you make a review. You don't have to ask me permission for it.
Right,
And
right,
that's another one of those things that when you're talking with these marketers that they are setting you up for a soft sale. Eventually they're going to try to sell you a product. They're trying to sell you reviews, which actually violate Amazon policy, and you can get
right,
your book banned from there.
right.
But but they
Yep,
they will try to convince you, no, you're it's legitimate. No,
yeah.
people don't pay for
For
reviews.
reviews. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're going to go into how can small businesses or creators stand out in a crowded market. So we talked about that too, showing your human side, showing who you are to people. You are your brand, right? I think I have
100%.
a huge personality, and that's what I show. You know,
You know,
I'm
it's
real and I'm
funny.
authentic.
It's funny you said that because as a recruiter, I actually had a supervisor that told me, if they like you, they buy. If they don't like you, they won't. And his explanation was, if you can have a so-so product, but if people like who you are, you're more likely going to sell that. And
Yeah,
on the flip side of that, if you have the best product in the world, if people don't like who you are, you're not going to close as many sales.
Yep.
So
You
people
know,
have to see they have to see who you are. And that's what I try to stress to the authors that say, well, I don't really want to market. I just want to write. Well,
no,
nobody's going to
this
know who
baby,
you
this
are.
ain't for you. I mean, I say show your face once a week. Post a little silly video or post you reading an excerpt from your book or something. So people can know you are real for one. For two, showing your personality, and they're gonna find out if they really want to buy your book.
Exactly.
Or
You know,
even,
it,
or let's say, I sell products. Is people gonna figure out, okay, do I want to buy her product? Do I like her enough, him or her enough, or do I, you know?
well,
So
a scenario that I use is I said, think about it this way. If you're a consumer and looking at a commercial on TV, and all you see, the commercial comes on, all it is a blank white screen, nothing else. And then all of a sudden you see black block letters that says, we have a product, go buy it. Would that motivate you to do anything? Absolutely not.
no,
You have to have some personality in there. And that's where you come into your expertise and your passion about what you are selling, and that's why
yeah,
we see the commercials we see on TV.
right. Okay, so I'm trying to, I told you I went live on this TikTok. I don't even know how to end a live, y'all. That's how bad it is. I'm trying to end this live on TikTok so I can go. Hold on, because I got my iPad right here, another laptop right here, my phone right here, and I have went live on my phone, and I'm trying to go unlive, and I can't figure it out. Maybe I need to test this thing out. Okay, it's not a good marketing tool for me right now. All right, so you know what's crazy, Kevin? Um, I used to teach fitness. I was at 24-hour fitness for 5 years, and then I branded off. I went and opened my own business. But when I was at 24-hour fitness, this was probably my second year in the teaching, and it was a Friday evening. I had a class at 6 o'clock. I taught. It was like a dance fitness class that was called Cardio 101. And after class, this lady came up to me and she said, "Either people gonna like you or they gonna hate you." I was like, what does that mean? I said, "Do you like me?" She said, "I love you." She said, "But you have a personality. Is somebody's gonna like you and they gonna hate you if they don't." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Well, the
Well,
people,
thanks.
you know what? The people that don't like you is not the
Yeah,
audience you're looking for.
true. You can't please everybody.
And that's one of
Everybody's
the
not gonna
things
want to buy your book.
that is one of the things that I've tried to stress to a lot of authors that have talked to me about marketing. It's like you cannot expect to reach everybody. You're not going to you can't expect to motivate everybody to get your book.
Right,
There are people that are they may like your book but can't afford it.
right,
They may dislike your book and buy it anyway, to see what's going on. So
right,
it's going to vary, and I always tell people a marketing is like I won't say a crapshoot, but for lack of a better term, because there are a lot of variables that you have no control over. The only thing you control is the message I'm giving to tell you why you should get my book. Whether you agree with that or not, whether you decide to spend your money or not on my book, that's a personal decision. I can't control that, and I can't worry about it because I can't control it. I always tell
right,
people, if you can't control it, why are you worried about it? It's going to
right.
do what it's going to do, regardless of whether you want it to or not.
Now you were saying something about emails, sending out emails. Do you think email marketing is still effective?
It can be, depending on what you are looking for. I know there are agencies that are available that will screen out, like those things, and that's where a lot of these so-called marketers drop the ball. Oh, I can send your message out to 100 or 100,000 or a million emails. Okay, wonderful. But if they're just random people, who cares
Right.
what that you send it out? And
What
how
if
do
it's
I
not my
know that you?
audience? What if it's not
How,
my audience?
Exactly. How do I know that you're sending them to a bunch of Nigerian addresses and not in the US? There's
Right,
no way for me to know those things, but there
right,
are agencies available that will do that. Mailchimp, they will segment their email addresses, so you're sending your information to people who are interested in what you are trying to sell them.
Yeah.
And
I mean, now,
that's the
yeah,
difference between those professional marketing firms and these so-called, oh, I can do this with your book, I can do that with your book. Okay, show me. Well, I don't really want to show you, but if you DM me, we can talk. No, you're trying to sell me something.
yeah, right, right. But also too, a lot of emails go to spam, and I don't even
Hmm.
check my spam. So it's like, okay, because I had a big email list. I had like Constant Contact and Mailchimp, which I haven't been on in a year, because that was my email contacts from when I had my dance studio.
Sure.
But still, it would still apply. I'd be like, hey, I'm an author now. Buy my book. No, but it's like, okay, because I go back and read the insights on it to see, if people have opened it, if
Hmm.
where you can go back and see, how many people have opened it, what's the percentage. And a lot of people used to tell me, hey, I didn't get your email. It was going to
Right.
spam.
It was going to
It was going
spam.
to,
And
yeah, it was going to,
that goes back to what I said earlier about those three components of effective marketing.
yeah,
Variety. Can't just go email. Has to be
right,
something else, because
right,
that person may not get your email, but
yep,
they'll get your video on Facebook, or
yeah,
wherever you're at. There, you have to find a way to get through to those people, because one way may not be all of that, and that's
yeah,
where a lot of these so-called marketers, oh, I'm going to send an email out. I'm going to send an email out. And what just happened? You told somebody told you, I never got it.
yeah,
So I didn't know it was there.
yeah. So, do you have a website?
I do.
Okay. So on my website,
KevinEeastman.com.
what is it?
KevinEeastman.com.
Okay. Do you ever go look at your click through rates and your website traffic
I look at that through analytics. Yes.
analytics? Yeah, yeah, I do too, and I actually get good traction. Good, a lot of people visit my site. A lot more people need to buy my book. I'm like, why did they
Hmm.
buy my book? Because they go on Amazon and buying it. But if you want it off, you want me to sign it, you know. But yeah, so I go to analytics and I look at my website traffic too.
Hmm.
So that's a good marketing strategy too for y'all. Go look at your if you have a website, pay attention to your analytics.
Because they'll tell you, if people
Yeah,
are looking at it or not.
yeah, and also too another tip: over engagement quality over quantity. Right?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. It If somebody's visiting, you got 3 million people hitting your sites, but nobody's paying attention to the information on there. mm, Might be time for some adjustments.
yeah. So we're gonna start wrapping this up. So we're gonna end with two different questions. So how can people stay motivated when results are slow with marketing? I know
Well,
because people like want instant sales. There's thousands of authors coming out daily.
mhm.
There's hundreds of thousands of books coming out, and nobody's gonna know your book.
Yes.
Okay, nobody's gonna know you wrote a book unless you tell people. And half of them and them people that you told ain't gonna they not gonna buy it. Okay. But people are so it's been 2 months and I don't have any sales on Amazon. Be patient. I
Well,
mean, what are you
a
doing for
lot,
people?
a lot of people, like I saw earlier in the outline that you showed me. Marketing is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah,
It may not pay off right away. And like I said
yeah,
earlier, um, part of marketing is planting the seed. It may not sprout tomorrow, but somewhere down the line, that person will remember who you are. I heard a marketing friend of mine. She said a lot of authors think promotion means talk about it more. Well, no, she said no. What it means is be in their mindset when they do think about it.
mm,
And I'm like, oh, okay, that's a
Okay.
different way of looking at it. So
Makes sense.
you have to stay motivated because
Yeah.
everybody's not going to be the J.K. Rowling. Everybody's not going to be the Stephen King. Everybody's not going to be the James Patterson who they put a book out and all of a sudden it's a bestseller. Everybody's
Yeah.
not going to have those results. So you have
Yeah.
to take the small wins, and thank people who buy your book. Hey, I appreciate every sale that I get. And when I get personal sales, I sign the book. I let the person know I appreciate them doing that, and then send a shout out to them on the
Yeah.
Facebook. Hey, hey, but check and see if they would like you to do that first. If you call them by their
Right.
name,
Yeah.
but people enjoy those things, and when you plant that seed, hey, this person, I bought this book from this guy. He even sent out a shout out for it. I think you might like his book. Why don't you go buy it? That's a referral. That's a sale that you didn't have to do anything for, but be
Exactly.
nice to somebody.
Exactly. Yeah. So when I went into Barnes and Noble, how I got my book into Barnes and Noble, and it's not in all stores. I went to this local Barnes and Noble around the corner from my house, and I showed him this book. I said, "Can I speak with the manager?" I showed him this book. I said, "Have you ever heard this book before, or have you read the book?" He was like, "Yeah, The Innocent Man." I said, "Well," I showed him this. I said, "Well, I'm the daughter of the innocent man." I said, "I want my book in the store." He was like, "Okay." He walked over to the counter, ordered five right there. I was like, "Cool." I said, "Can you order more?" He was like, "No." He was like, "The most we can order on a self-published author is five." And I was like, "Dang, that's shh. I'm gonna go into all Barnes and Noble now if it's that
Well,
easy."
see, a lot of people don't want to open their mouth and ask the question. And one of the things I was taught as a recruiter is unless you ask the question, the answer is always no.
Yeah, yeah,
What's the worst they can tell you? No, we can't buy your book. Okay,
yeah.
great. Well, I'm not in any worse shape than I was before. But you walked in there, told them, "Hey, you seen this book? Yeah, I've read it. Seen this one? No, but this is my father.
Yeah,
Oh, I want my book in your store. Oh,
yeah,
okay. See how easy that was?
yeah,
And you didn't have
yeah,
to do anything.
yeah. Right? I'm like, whoa, is this easy? Oh, okay. So, one other question. Um, what do you like AI? Tell me about AI. What do you think of AI?
I'm not a big fan of it only because I like to be authentic in what I produce.
Okay.
And I like everything that I produce to come from here.
Uh-huh.
It's so I kind of stay away from it. I don't knock anybody that has it. I don't knock anybody that uses it. It's just a personal preference for me. I like everything that I produce to come from here. And believe it or not, I designed this cover,
Did
and
you?
there is a meaning behind everything you see on this cover. And
Okay.
on my website, during my on my blog, I talk about all of the imagery you see on this cover. And a lot of people, if they look at it, they will find out that a lot of thought went into everything you see on here, including these dice.
Okay. Well, tell us why. What?
Well,
What's the
there
premise
there
behind
there are a lot of things on here. First of all, I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but the dice are falling off of a cliff.
that? Okay.
And what that means is a lot of people they throw the dice off the cliff and then they hope that it lands on something else, or,
Okay.
or what they want it to. Whereas you can actually take these and throw them by your feet that are by there, and you can see it instead of hoping they land on a seven when they get to the bottom of the cliff.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there's a lot of things in here that I explained in why this book looks the way it does. Because a lot of people, when they see the dice, they automatically think, oh, it's a book about gambling. It has nothing to do with gambling.
Hmm.
The gamble is your mindset.
Okay. Okay. The reason I asked you about AI, because I know, okay, so authors, writers, and wannabes, the reason I named the podcast that author, I think a author is whether you are self-published or traditionally published, right? Um, a writer is one who has written but hasn't published. And a wannabe is someone who has put in chat GPT, write me a book on such and such. That is a wannabe.
I can't
Okay.
argue with that.
If you use AI to write you a book, you are a wannabe, baby. And it's okay. No, it's not okay because, it takes away from us real authors.
Well, and then you
Um,
also if you do that, then somebody asks you a question about the book that you can't answer. It's
oh,
like
wow.
you can't answer a question about your own book.
I would hope that they edited and read
You
it
be you
themselves.
you will be surprised at how many people have. I have had people send me samples of their book,
Uh-huh.
and it was so poorly constructed, it wasn't even funny. I actually
Oh,
had to
wow.
rewrite a guy's blurb for him because it was that bad. And I
Yeah.
said, I can't tell you how to write it. It's your book. But if I were writing the blurb, here's what I would do. And he goes, oh, yeah, man, I'll use this one.
Mm. Now, I did use AI to do my children's book covers. I admit that. I mean, I'm like, that's not a big deal, you know?
Well, you have to keep in mind, when you're doing things like that, if a person sees a cover as AI, it's almost human nature. If your book cover took 5 minutes to create, it wasn't worth your time to make spend more than 5 minutes. A lot of times they say, okay, how much time did they really spend on the quality of the
Writing
book?
part. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to be careful with that. AI
Yeah.
cover is something totally different than AI writing. But
Yeah.
a lot of times they get intermingled with one another, and that's why I try to stay away from AI for my writing or creating.
Correct. Correct. Me too. Now I did, I don't have anything against using a tool to go back in there and say, hey, did I miss a punctuation or a
Sure,
correct spelling? You know what I'm saying?
sure.
Um, and the reason I asked about did I ask about storytelling?
No,
My mind is no. Okay,
no.
so how can one use storytelling to help with improved marketing? So I just signed up for an AI course with Toy Laster, y'all. Look up Toy Laster. Okay. She has created an AI school and she creates these visuals and commercials, and they are so realistic. She has one on the big screen in theaters that she created. What do you think about creating like an AI video clip of something, a marketing tool to market your book?
Nothing wrong with it. If it
Yeah,
if it gets the
I think it's
job done, it gets
cool.
the job done. A
Yeah,
lot of times AI can get things done. It's just when
yeah,
you're seeing things like people with six fingers, that's on one
yeah,
hand.
yeah, yeah,
Those
yeah.
types of things. They say I didn't spend the time on this that I should have.
Yeah. No, she creates quality and she teaches you quality. It's so cool. Go look her up, Toy Laster, and you'll see all of her on Facebook. You'll see all of her videos and cinematic, and it's really cool. So now I got to invest my time, not them 4 hours on Facebook. Now I got to invest at least an hour or two, learning this AI school stuff. Okay. So I left off with AI because next week we are talking about AI, artificial intelligence. I do have, oh, it's going to be a good show, y'all. I do have a guest that's coming in. She is actually a movie producer, and she's going to talk about AI. And this movie producer is my sister. So I do want to thank you, Kevin, for joining me, marketing one on one, and giving us your practical tips and advice,
Thank you
and
for having me.
being real with us. And again, what's your website where they can get your book?
www.kevineeastman.com, and
All right.
I always put the E in there because the creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is actually named Kevin Eastman. That is not me.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. All right. So if y'all want to go, I do have a blog on my website and do have information on the podcast on my website. If you want to go to noelletheauthor.com. So that is www, and this is what I learned in broadcasting school, not W. It's www.noel, Noel, theauthor.com. Thank you, Kevin. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good
Bye.
night.
You too.
So how did I do?